When China's Tiangong space station went into space, the Indian media went so far as to publicize it, claiming that the Chinese space station would be useless without India's core equipment. So, is this really the case? Let's uncover the truth and see if China's Tiangong space station still relies on imported equipment. Welcome to World Hotspot, where you will be able to learn about projects, cooperation around the world and important information about China. I hope you can subscribe to me. Let us discover more interesting things around the world together. At present, there are only two operating space stations in the world. One is the International Space Station jointly built by 6 countries including the United States and Russia, and the other is the Tiangong series of space stations independently built by China. The International Space Station was officially established as early as 1998. At that time China has also applied to participate in the construction of the International Space Station. However, the United States and other countries have repeatedly rejected China's participation on the grounds of technical secrecy and shortage of funds. Finally, the International Space Station was completed and put into use in 2010. However, China can only test and develop the space station system by itself, and finally successfully launched the experimental space station, Tiangong-1, in September 2011. Then with the successful launch of the Mengtian experimental module, China finally has its own space station. Now that the decommissioning time of the International Space Station has entered the countdown, China's Tiangong space station will become the only space station in the world. Although spaceflight is a career of one arrow for 1,000 people, one gun for 10,000 people, the Chinese space station's ability to soar above the 9 heavens depends entirely on the solidarity and cooperation of the Chinese people. For example, core technologies such as space rendezvous and docking technology and space station robotic arms are all produced and mastered by Chinese scientific researchers after years of research and development. Every component on the Tiangong space station is 100% purely domestic. Then why does the Indian media claim that the Chinese space station relies on India's core equipment? In fact, India's core equipment does have the opportunity to enter the Chinese space station, but it is not directly related to the operation of the Chinese space station, and in the end these equipment did not enter the Chinese space station. It all starts in 2019, when the China space station released an announcement on calling for scientific experiments and technical test projects of China space station. That is, selected scientific research projects can enter the Chinese space station for relevant experiments, aiming to promote the overall development of China's science and technology. In the end, 9 projects from 17 countries were successfully selected, including the Nebula Gas Spectrum research cooperated by India and Russia. To carry out the experiment, of course, relevant experimental equipment is required, and these equipment are prepared by the applicant. According to the contract, this scientific equipment was originally planned to be delivered to China at the end of 2022, and will be delivered to the space station along with Tianzhou 6 for experiments. However, China's Tianzhou 6 has already been launched, and the space station project in 2023 has also been called for, but the Indian equipment has still not appeared. The main reason is the obstruction of the Indian government. As early as 2022, the Indian Institute of Astrophysics applied to the Indian Ministry of Foreign Affairs for an export license for the equipment. However, according to a report by the Hong Kong media South China Morning Post on August 7, the equipment developed by the Indian Research Institute has not yet obtained an export license from India, resulting in delays in exports. That left the equipment, which took 2 years and $50,000, to be stored in the dust-free warehouse of the Indian Institute. Because of this, the Indian media hyped that the Chinese space station cannot operate without Indian equipment, and even exaggerated that Indian equipment has become the core equipment of the Chinese space station. So, who is the real loser in this incident? The actual results are obvious. The Chinese space station provides an experimental platform for scientific researchers from all over the world, but it does not mean that relevant research cannot be carried out without it. As the first batch of projects selected for the China space station, China Aerospace has promised not to charge launch fees. Based on the weight of Indian equipment and a launch price of $10,000 per kilogram, this could save India hundreds of thousands of dollars. Indian scientist Murthy once said that if you miss this opportunity, you may be charged next time, and the cost may exceed their budget. In addition, the International Space Station is about to be decommissioned. The Chinese space station has many international cooperation projects, and the schedule has been scheduled until 2024. Even if the equipment is transported to the Chinese space station, it cannot be accessed in a short period of time, and the design life of the equipment is only 6 months to 1 year. So it is likely that the equipment will be overdue and scrapped before it is shipped. Dear friends, this video is over here. What do you think of India's approach? How do you think China should respond? Welcome to leave a message in the comment area to share your thoughts and feelings. If you like the content of this issue, please recommend him to your friends so that more people can see this video. Thank you for watching and supporting. See you next time.